Hello, Christian here. Do you think being disruptive is risky? I feel think again because it's the future. Hello again, I'm Christian, a disruptive chef, entrepreneur, host, and today we want to talk a little bit about disruptive leadership. What is it and why does it matter? So, why do you think disruptive leadership is important? And what is it? For me, it's disruptive leadership means changing the norm and constantly pushing the boundary and always innovating. What does it mean for you? And why does it matter? Especially in the days in this fast paced world we have in the industry, staying ahead is the key. Otherwise, you are being left behind. So, what are some of the do's and don'ts of disruptive leadership? And I know you're thinking, why is it important? I honestly feel if you want to be revolutionizing your kitchen, you need to start being disruptive. So, if you want to have a dynamic, driving work environment, what do you need to do? You need to foster creativity in your kitchen. Are you currently doing that? How are you doing it? The best way to start is have weekly brainstorming session, and you can share some new techniques, some new tools, strategies, what you have learned, what your staff has learned, or you could even share some new dishes, a new way of plating it, and a new way of looking at it, how you're going to put it out there in the marketplace. And it's important because you need to stay on top. And in order to have a menu which is not static, which is fresh and relevant, you need to keep up with the latest culinary trends. And in our industry, it's not really that much of a norm, but I feel every chef needs to attend workshop, kind of work on yourself. You probably heard it said, if you want things to improve, you need to improve. If you want things to get better, you need to get better. And I feel there's nothing more real than this in today's society, and especially in the hospitality field. Things are changing so fast. Concepts used to last year, now they last months. And clients come in and looking for the latest and greatest all the time. You want to be known for innovation. You want to be known to pushing the boundaries and have something new. So, how do you stay on top of it? We talked about attending workshop, reading culinary magazines. There's some amazing stuff out there. You can watch YouTube videos. You could do stuff what we do here and watch us. What we have learned over the last 30 years is what we share on these podcasts and this show all the time. We also share what some of the things we're working on, what's working, what is not working. And we also share the newest tools, tips, and tricks, what you need to do to stay on top of it. So for me, I love reading magazine, and I was told a long time ago, if you want to be an expert in your field, read an hour a day in your field. And then within a year, you got to be an expert in your field. And for me, I love culinary magazines. And for what I do, it's really simple. I take a file cabinet and I have new ideas, new way of plating, new way of thinking. And then I rip pages out of the magazines and I kind of file them along. And if I need some inspiration, I look in those files for the way I filed it. And for me, it works really well. And for me, it just doesn't not only work well, it keeps me thinking of some new things. It helps me to, drive my innovation here, what we do with my team and what we're doing in our restaurants. So really important. And then there's also some don'ts around that. First off, you need to trust your teams and you need to empower them. And I see this so many times in restaurants. People just don't trust their team and they don't trust them that they will do the right things, but they need to step up. And therefore, if you empower them, I honestly feel it gives your team the freedom to do their job and just not just doing their job, doing it right and step above and beyond. In my team here, the team comes quite often asking me, "Hey, Christian, what do you think about this?" And I give him some general feedback. But for me, if I give him too much details and ask him how I want to have it done, I will get what I always had. And I have the team to kind of push the boundaries a little bit and help me to grow. So really important. So in order to have that team so you can trust it and empower them, you need to set clear expectation, and then you need to step back. And for a lot of our chefs, this is really hard of letting go. I spoke with a restaurant friend of mine a few days ago, and she has an amazing concept. And we had this conversation about letting go. And she said, I know I have the opportunity to scale, I have the opportunity to grow and expand, but I don't think I am ready because I don't want to let go. I don't want some other person making my dishes. And then I hear this all the time. And then we need to look at, you want your team to collaborate and not just collaborate, create an environment of elaboration, collaboration, innovation, and make this the environment for them to work in. And I learned this a long time ago. Listen to your teams, listen to your team's ideas, and listen to their feedback and implement some of that feedback. If you hold regular team meetings, be open to talking about it. What's going on? It could be a pre-meal, and we actually here as an organization just started it up again. We're starting Mondays. We check in every morning, and then what did we get done by the end of the week? Because you need to embrace progress and new opportunity. And I feel that's where our industry not just struggles. It's something which is not that commonly known. I just had somebody I spoke to a few days ago, one of our clients, and he said, I don't want to change because I know if I do this, my clients will like it. They have liked it for the last 20, 25 years. So he will have his regular clientele coming in, but he will not grow and he will not bring new people in because he has the same old, same old. And then my feedback to that is you need to be open to new ideas. Adjust your base menu, put some seasonal ingredients on it, and look at some customer feedback. In our restaurants, the customer's doing an amazing job in giving some feedback. Sometimes it's good feedback, and sometimes, you know what, we need to take it with a grain of salt. And then we need to overlay, how do we execute at the highest level? And I watch Gordon Ramsay, and I like him a lot because he's known for high standard and perfection. Quality is key, and consistency is key. So you hear this a lot, and a lot of the restaurants, not succeeding, which let go of quality and standards. I had a podcast earlier this week, and the guest talked about that he's really frustrated when he walks into a kitchen and it's dirty. I think that's for me just an example that people don't live up to the quality they deserve or known for, and they're not consistent. So you need to maintain a high standard, not just in your kitchen, within your staff, within your suppliers. And then you can also do it with your clients. And that's not just in a restaurant. If you are a consultant, the same is for you. How do you maintain a high standard within your client? And that high standard is of yourself. And how do you deliver to them? Again, we have clients which come to us and they said, hey, can you fix this? Because we had a consultant, we charged us $20,000 and he never really finished it. Or he did it in a way that the team just didn't understand it. So we have this quite often. So number one thing to look at, quality and consistency are key. Set a standard, maintain the standard, and keep that standard throughout the staff and everybody else. So what are some practical tips for being a disruptive leader? And for me, I think there's three ways of doing it. Number one is self-improvement. We talk about this all the time. Become a student of life. Become a lifelong learner. Be committed to learn, not just in what you see, also the way you act. There's a lot of people out there which knowing a lot of stuff and going to a lot of events and attending workshops and classes, but never implement it. A client asked me just a few days ago, Christian, what is the best tool to do staffing, scheduling, and that? And you hear me say this all the time, the best tool is what you use. And if you use something, find something better. But if you don't use it, it doesn't matter how good it is. And around self-improvement and growing as a leader, you need to be committed to that lifelong learning. And you could do this through reading leadership books, attending leadership workshops, listen to podcasts, not just go to workshop, volunteer for workshop, because if you learn and teach, you will learn a lot more. And the second one for me is you need to keep learning, never stop learning, take courses, attend workshop, and join a professional network or join a mastermind. And we hosting a mastermind, and it's amazing what the collective can do. And then finally, you need to network. And it's a cliche, and a lot of people are talking about it. Your network is your net worth. I honestly believe it's so true, because if you want to gain new ideas and new perspective, you need to be around people which play at a higher game than you do. And you also need to be around a group of individuals which ask more of you than you ask for yourself. And you probably heard it said that we do more for others than we do for ourselves. So being part of a professional network, being part of a mastermind will allow you to kind of play a higher game. I currently belong to 3 different masterminds. And there's one mastermind we belong to is quite expensive. And I make sure I don't miss any classes because it is very expensive. But when I go there, you better believe it, I take notes. Not only do I take notes, I bring them back and I implement them. So if you gain a new idea or a new perspective, you need to act on it. And when people share, they sometimes share from experience. So if they made the mistakes, why do you want to make the same mistakes? Implement those changes, implement the new ideas and that new perspective, what they share with you. And you will see, you will have some amazing results. And then you need to build relationships with other people like you. So if you're an executive chef, build relationship with other executive chefs. If you're a corporate chef, build relationship with other corporate chefs. If you're a culinary consultant, build relationship with other culinary consultant. If you a leadership coach or consultant, hang out with other people are like you. Because if you hang out with people which are like you and which playing at the same game and maybe even a higher level as you are, it will forces you to step up, because as chefs, we're very competitive. So go out, attend those workshops, join association, and participate in online forums. There's no better way to kind of give back than being part of those online forums. We have joined a few of them just recently, and it helps me in 2 ways. What I really love about it is when you kind of reply back, it doesn't allow you for a lot of text. So it forces you to be concise, be direct, and have something they can act on it today and see a result on it tomorrow. So really important. So focus on self-improvement, keep learning, and work your network, and you will see amazing impacts around that. So are you ready to step up as a culinary disruptor? Are you tired of playing it safe? And do you want to lead your culinary team to greatness? Because if you think of being a leader is all about control, it's time to rethink that. And for me, disruptive leadership or disruptive culinary leadership is about pushing the boundaries, is not ignoring things, is pushing the boundaries and rewriting the script, not going against and saying, I'm not doing it. Find a way to do it better than you did yesterday. Find a way to execute at a higher level than you do yesterday. And find a way to bring a greater impact than you did yesterday. For me, that's really, really important in being a disruptive leader. So, what are some practical tips you could do outside of that? And we talked about the self improvement, keep learning and keep networking. How do you do it and where do you do it? I get this a lot from chefs. I don't have the time to join networks. I don't think you don't have the time not to be part of it. We wanted to do something different in one of our programs, and we reached out to a friend of mine who has done what we want to do. And he came to us and said, hey, I would do this, this, and this. Don't do this because I did this and it kind of set me back. Follow this, keep it simple, And you know what? Just execute on it. And sometimes in the culinary world, we make it too complicated. So for me, if there's nothing else you learn or take away from today's conversation, is complexity is the enemy of execution. If you make it too hard, nobody will act on it. Make it simple. Have that conversation with your staff. Be available. Listen to their feedback. Implement feedback. A lot of your team member probably have amazing ideas on how to make not just your operation better, how to make a better experience for your client. So for me, when we started this conversation around being disrupting and we talking about that disruption is not just a nice thing to do. I think you need to do it. It's the new way of moving forward. And if you keep pushing the boundaries in that, remember, as we started out, what is disruptive leadership? Disruptive leadership for me means changing the norm and always innovating, always improving, always pushing the boundaries, always learning from what we did yesterday. And it does matter because in this really, really fast moving world where we have challenges with staff, where we have challenges with robotics, and I'm a big fan of robotics, the culinary world is changing faster than ever. Implement some of these tools, otherwise you will left behind. And we don't want nobody to be left behind. We want everybody to have that unfair advantage we teaching in these podcasts and in these shows. So if you haven't done so, please like this episode below, share it with a friend. Let us know, what are you doing to stay disruptive? What are you doing to push the boundaries? What are you doing to make tomorrow better than it was today? How do you encourage creativity? How do you stay updated? How do you promote continuous improvement? How do you focus on self-improvement? How do you keep learning? And how do you push your network? So with that, I want to say thank you. My name is Christian at the Disruptive Chef, host, entrepreneur. Go out there and stay disruptive, and we see you